Well, if you're like me, you have a complaint that modern cars are boring. They're soulless. They're thought up by business nerds and are finding their souls from PowerPoint presentations. What I have a car for you is something that you and I might like, because that car, ladies and gentlemen, is this big brute of an SUV, the Mercedes AMG GLE 53 4MATIC Plus Coupe. Now, this car has got itself a facelift recently, and we will talk about the changes up next. But I just want to start off with a side note. It is about something that I absolutely love about this car. And yes, it may not necessarily be the design, because yes, that divides opinions. But I just love the fact that this is unapologetically bold. It's in your face. It is something that you do not want to see in your rear view mirror or flying by you on those roads, because this car can go fast. We'll get to that in a bit. But what I love about it is that it has the so-called character, the presence on road, and it is something that will leave a lasting memory in your mind. And there are not a lot of cars that do that today.
And speaking of changes, well, there are not many. On the outside, what you get is a new front bumper, a new set of adaptive LED headlamps with a good looking DRL signature. The tail lamps have been updated as well. And lastly, it gets the new AMG emblem on the bonnet, like other new AMG offerings. Yes, these changes are far and few. I mean, even the alloy wheel design is the same. And yes, these changes don't really up the car's appeal, but to be honest, that's not a problem in my books, because the appeal of the GLE has always been road presence, and it still has that. A lot of it. The same story continues on the inside too, with the familiar looking cabin getting the big update in the form of the new AMG steering wheel. Through this and the two little dials around it, you can pretty much control almost all the features of the car. Just keep in mind that getting used to all these touch-sensitive controls can take a bit of time. Other than that, the small changes include the screens getting updated software and the inclusion of 100-watt output USB-C ports. Again, the changes don't really add that much value to the cabin, but as was the case earlier, there's not a lot to nitpick.
Now let's talk about the rear seat experience. I've set the front seat as per my height. For reference, I'm 5'10", and you can see I have loads of leg room on offer. I can comfortably stretch my legs out and get comfortable at the back here. Under thigh support is not the best, but I'm really nitpicking at this point, because overall this is a comfortable place to be in. I even have a drop down armrest with a couple of cup holders. It's not a bad place to be in at all. The only caveat that you have to keep in mind is that if you are over 6 feet in height, having headroom will be a bit of a squeeze, because that is at a premium. But again, it is something you expect out of a coupe body style car. Alright, now it's time to get to my favorite bit. It's time to talk about the driving experience, and this is where the GLE 53 AMG really shines. It's deceptively quick. You don't realize you're doing really stupid speeds until you're doing them. And then you realize just how big this car is and what it's capable of. And it really adds up. It really lives up to its AMG badge on the back. Speaking of which, the question is, can you really call this car an AMG? Well, 0 to 100 in 5 seconds is quick no matter how you look at it. But especially when you realize the size and space that this car comes with and the performance that it has, especially the brakes, which really make it feel like a sports car, I would say yes, this is a proper AMG. Now, one of the things that I really like, other than the acceleration of course, is the fact that you get air suspension on the car, and that coupled with the other settings that you can dial in on the GLE 53 make it a car that you can really tailor to your taste and to your driving situations. I personally have set everything to soft with the engine response to the sportiest setting, and I find that the sweet spot. What's important to note is that in comfort mode, you pretty much don't feel anything. Yes, it's still a stiff suspension setup, but it's not anything that will make you worry. But what's really impressive is that even in the Sports Plus mode, you won't really feel scared when that bad patch of road comes out of nowhere. This car really just floats through the road and can tackle pretty much everything that you throw at it. All in all, it's a fantastic car to drive. I have had no complaints about the car whatsoever. It has given me the confidence to take on any kinds of road. I mean, this AMG comes with an off-road driving mode, for God's sake. So this has the hardware that it needs to be a car that can take on any kinds of road conditions like it just did. And I think that's its biggest USP. Well, now it's time for the closing remarks, and I have to be honest, if you think from the mind, well, it's a difficult car to wrap your head around, because let's be honest, it costs more than what it would have costed if it were a conventional SUV. What I'm talking about specifically is the coupe shape. You see, you pay more for less practicality. How does that even add up? Moreover, you have to realize a car this big doesn't really have any business going this fast, and a car this fast usually isn't this big either. But if you think from the heart, well, this car absolutely tugs at those strings. You see, this is the kind of car that comes up on somebody's rear view mirror and tells them that their existence in that lane is their problem. It's a fantastic feeling, and it can get a bit addictive too. Side effect, everybody around you on the road becomes so much nicer. Always they give you space. Something of an experience only the GLE 53 AMG provides. You get the idea. It is fun being on the road in this car. The only question you really have to ask yourself is whether you see this as an extension of your personality. If you're someone who's bold, who likes to stand out and likes to tell people that they have arrived, well, the GLE 53 might be down your alley. The fact that this AMG is stupidly fast, well, that's just an added bonus.